Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Simplified Basic Concept, and today in this video I'll discuss about the second content theory of motivation, which is Herzberg Two Factor Theory. The first content theory of motivation is Maslow's need hierarchy theory, which I have discussed in my earlier video. The topics which I'll be covering in this video is introduction to the theory, the satisfaction and dissatisfaction concept given by Herzberg, hygiene and motivation factors, the Herzberg model, the four states of Herzberg, comparison between Herzberg theory and Maslow's need hierarchy theory, implications and limitations of the two-factor theory. The two-factor theory is also known as Herzberg motivation hygiene theory or dual factor theory. So let's begin with the introduction. Friedrich Herzberg, a professor of psychology in USA, proposed two-factor theory in 1959. This theory is based on empirical study. By empirical, we mean outcome of which can be verified by study or experiment. So here a study was done and the data was collected from interview of 200 accountants and engineers. The two-factor theory states that there are certain job factors at the workplace that causes job satisfaction, while a separate set of factors cause dissatisfaction. All of these factors act independently of each other. And the two job factors given by Herzberg in his two-factor theory are hygiene factors and motivation factors. But before going into details about hygiene factors and motivation factors, let's understand the concept of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, because the concept of satisfaction and dissatisfaction given by Herzberg is different from our traditional view about the terms. So as per traditional view, we think that satisfaction is opposite of dissatisfaction, but Herzberg had a different view. The concept of satisfaction and dissatisfaction given by Herzberg was not based on assumption. Herzberg noted down that the responses of the respondents when they were asked two questions, and these two questions were factors that made them feel good at the workplace and factors that made them feel bad at the workplace. So as per traditional view, one would expect that the presence of factors that made a person feel good, absence of those factors will make the same person feel bad. So we can say that if a factor A makes the person feel good, then he is satisfied with the factor A, and the absence of same factor will make the person feel bad or dissatisfied. However, the most interesting outcome of the survey was that the factors that made respondents feel good and satisfied, absence of those factors from the workplace, did not make the respondents feel bad or dissatisfied. Now this was what Herzberg said, that satisfaction and dissatisfaction are not opposite of each other, but they are completely different terms. So as per Herzberg, opposite of satisfaction is no satisfaction, and opposite of dissatisfaction is no dissatisfaction. And it's the motivation factors which affect the satisfaction level of the employees, and the hygiene factors affects the dissatisfaction level of the employees. So let's understand this concept of satisfaction and dissatisfaction along with hygiene and motivation factors with the help of an example. Now let's consider a term salary. When an employee gets low salary, so what will happen? He will be dissatisfied and he can quit the job. Whereas if the same person will get high salary, then he will not be dissatisfied and he will not quit the job. So here we see that increase or decrease in salary is only affecting the dissatisfaction level of the employee. That is, when the salary is more, the employee is not dissatisfied, and when the salary is less, the employee is dissatisfied. The salary as a factor has nothing to do with motivation level of the employee. Now let's take another factor, which is advancement or promotion of an employee in the organization. Now, when the chances of advancement or promotion is less in the organization, then the employee will not be satisfied, which will result in low morale and low productivity of the employee. And if there are high chances of promotion and advancement, then the employee will be satisfied and motivated, which will put him in the category of being perfect employee. So this factor, promotion, has to do with the satisfaction level of the employee. That is, when the promotional chances of an employee was less, the employee was not satisfied. And when the chances of promotion were more, the employee became more satisfied and motivated. Even though when the chances of promotion was less, the employee was not dissatisfied. Now, this is what Herzberg said, that there are certain set of factors like salary which can only affect the dissatisfaction level of the employee, and there are other set of factors like promotion which can affect the satisfaction level of the employee. And salary here is the hygiene factor, whereas promotion is the motivation factor. I hope the concept of satisfaction, dissatisfaction along with hygiene and motivation factors is clear with the help of this example. Now let's see what are hygiene factors in details. The hygiene factors are also called as maintenance factors or dissatisfiers. Now when the hygiene factors increases, that is, presence of hygiene factors are more in the organization, then there will be no extra satisfaction which the employee will get, but there will be no job dissatisfaction. That is, when hygiene factors are more in the organization, the employee will not be dissatisfied. However, he will not have any extra satisfaction because of presence of this more hygiene factors. Whereas if there will be decrease in the hygiene factors, then it will dissatisfy the employee. So the hygiene factors cannot motivate the employee. Its presence or absence will never motivate an employee, because these are the factors which are expected to be present by default. Right? Now let's take an example. Let's take an example of hospital. Now in a hospital, the hygiene factor is cleanliness. Now presence of cleanliness is expected to be there by default. If there is no cleanliness in a hospital, then it will certainly dissatisfy the employee or the person going there. But if there is a lot of cleanliness, then it will not give any extra satisfaction to the person going there, because it is quite expected from the person going there that the hospital will be clean. So cleanliness for hospital is the hygiene factor. Now, example of hygiene factors in context of organization, the company policies. These should be fair and clear to every employee. Then only it will act as a hygiene factor. Supervision. The supervision must be clear and appropriate. Relationships. A healthy and appropriate relationship should exist between peers, superiors, and subordinates. The work conditions, equipment, and the working environment should be safe and hygienic. The salary, the pay structure should be fair and should also be competitive with other organizations in the same industry. Security. It is most important that the employees feel that the job is secure and they are not under the constant threat of being laid off. Now these factors, these company policies, supervisions, work conditions, salary, security, and relationships among peers, superiors, and subordinates are expected to be present by default at the workplace when an employee joins the organization. So any decrease or absence of these factors will cause dissatisfaction in the employee and they can quit the job. But if these factors are present in increased amount, then it will not cause extra satisfaction in the employees. Now let's see what are motivation factors, which are also called as satisfiers. The motivation factors, if there is an increase in motivation factors at the workplace, then there will be more job satisfaction, high morale, and high productivity of the employee. Whereas if there is a decrease in the motivation factor, then there will be low job satisfaction, low morale, and low productivity of the employee. The motivation factors has the capacity to motivate the employee, and it, that is the absence of these motivation factors, cannot dissatisfy the employee. We saw this in our last example where we discussed that promotion, when it is present in abundance, that is there are more chances of an employee getting promotion in an organization, will increase the job satisfaction. Whereas if there are low chances of getting promotion, then the employee will have less job satisfaction, but it will not dissatisfy the employee, right? Now let's see example of motivation factors. Achievement. A job must give an employee a sense of achievement. This will provide a proud feeling of having done something. Recognition. The employee should be praised and recognized for their successes. This recognition, praise should come from both their superiors and the peers. The work itself, the job itself must be interesting, varied, and provide enough of challenge to keep the employee's motivation. That is, there should be job enrichment. There should be variety of work. It shouldn't be monotonous. This will act as an important motivation factor for the employees. Responsibility. The employees should own their work. That is, they should hold themselves responsible for the completion and not feel as though they are being micromanaged. Advancement. Promotion opportunities should exist for the employees. And finally, growth. The job should be given to the employees so that they get an opportunity to learn new skills. This can happen either on the job or through more formal training. So these were the motivation factors which are expected to be present by an employee at the workplace to get them more motivated so that they have high morale and their productivity increases. Now let's see the difference between hygiene factor and motivation factor in tabular form. The hygiene factor is also the factor for dissatisfaction or dissatisfier, whereas motivation factor is the factor for satisfaction or satisfiers. The hygiene factors are necessary to maintain a satisfaction level in the employees, whereas the factors capable of encouraging and motivating employees for higher performance is the motivation factor. Hygiene factor is not a source of extreme satisfaction or motivation, as it is expected to be present by default, whereas a motivation factor leads to higher productivity, high morale, and high job satisfaction if it is present at the workplace. Now, the absence of hygiene factors can result in extreme dissatisfaction, whereas absence of motivation factor may not lead to strong dissatisfaction. And salary, job security, working condition, company policy, personal life, relationship with co-workers are the example of hygiene factors at workplace, whereas growth, achievement, responsibility, work itself, advancement, and recognitions are example of motivation factor at workplace. Now let's see what's the Herzberg model. That is, how can a person use Herzberg model when they are applying it with organization. Now there is a situation where the stakeholder of an organization is dissatisfied and unmotivated. So what can the manager do in this situation? The manager can enhance the hygiene factor, can provide better hygiene factor to the employees. Now the hygiene factors are those factors which are expected to be present by default at the workplace. What will this do? Now, with the help of hygiene factors, the stakeholders will move from the dissatisfied zone to not dissatisfied zone, but they will still be unmotivated. So what can be done to increase the motivation level of the employee? The employee can increase or enhance the motivation factors which are present at the workplace. Now, with the motivation factor and positive frame of mind, the stakeholders will be satisfied and motivated. So with this Herzberg model, the managers can get an idea where they can use hygiene factors and motivation factors and how they can make their employee both satisfied and motivated. Now the four states. In a general sense, there are four states an organization or team can find themselves when it comes to the two-factor theory. The first state is where the hygiene is high and the motivation factor is high. Now this is ideal situation. Every manager strives for this situation. Here all the employees are motivated and employees have very few grievances. Now, the second situation is where the hygiene factors are high but low motivation factors. So here the employees have few grievances. The employees are not highly motivated. An example to this situation is where pay and working conditions are competitive but the work isn't very interesting. So the employees are simply there to collect their salary. Now, how can the motivation be enhanced here? By enriching the job, by giving more variety or chances for promotion. By these, the motivation level of the employees can be enhanced because promotion, job enrichment are motivation factors. The third situation is where there is low hygiene factor but the motivation factors are high. So here employees are highly motivated, the employees but have a lot of grievances. Now the example of this situation is where the work is exciting and really interesting but the pay and salary conditions are being behind competitors in the same industry. So salary is a strong hygiene factor. When that is low, it will severely affect the hygiene condition, the hygiene level of the employee and will put them into dissatisfaction zone. Now the fourth state is where the hygiene factors are low and the motivation factor is also low. So it is a bad situation for an organization. Here the employees are not motivated and the hygiene factors are not up to scratch. So with the help of these four states, an employee can know that in which state their employees are presently and they can enhance the hygiene factor or motivation factor, whatever is lacking in that state. Now let's see what is the similarity between Herzberg and Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Now this is Maslow's need hierarchy theory. We know that Maslow's need hierarchy theory, in Maslow's need hierarchy theory, there are 5 needs and the lowest level need is physiological needs. I have discussed about the entire Maslow's need hierarchy theory in my previous video. So in case if somebody has any doubt, they can go there and for reference. Now salary can be a physiological need and job security is the safety needs for the employee. And relationship with colleagues is one of the social needs. Now these needs according to Herzberg is clubbed under and put as hygiene factors. So salary, job security and good relationships with colleagues, these things are expected to be present by default at the workplace by an employee when they join an organization. That is why Herzberg has clubbed them as hygiene factors. So these factors have the capacity to affect the dissatisfaction level of the employee, and these factors, the presence of or absence of these factors cannot motivate or satisfy an employee. Whereas recognition, which satisfies the esteem needs, and meaningful work, which satisfies the self-actualization need as per Maslow's need hierarchy theory, is the motivation factor as per Herzberg's theory. So recognition and meaningful work, that is esteem needs and self-actualization needs, have the capacity to strongly motivate and satisfy the employee at the workplace as per Herzberg. So these have been clubbed and put under motivation factors. Now the difference between the two theories. The Maslow's need hierarchy theory states that there is an urge to satisfy needs, which is the most important factor of motivation. And as per Herzberg Two Factor Theory, there are various factors at workplace that causes job satisfaction and dissatisfaction. Now, Maslow's need hierarchy theory relies on need and their satisfaction, whereas rewards and recognitions play important role in Herzberg's two-factor theory. Maslow's need hierarchy theory, as we all know, is hierarchical. There are five levels of needs, whereas Herzberg two-factor theory, there is no sequence depicted. The core concept in Maslow's need hierarchy theory is that unsatisfied needs stimulates individuals, whereas in Herzberg two-factor theory, the gratified needs regulate behavior and performance. In Maslow's need hierarchy theory, need is divided into growth and deficiency needs. And in Herzberg two-factor theory, it's the hygiene and motivation factors that play important role. Now, the implications of two-factor theory. The managers here must provide adequate hygiene factors to avoid employee dissatisfaction. The managers must provide stimulating and rewarding work so that the employees are motivated to work and perform better. The managers must emphasize on job enrichment so that the employees are more motivated. Job enrichment means providing more varieties of work in your job profile. The managers must utilize employees' skills and competencies so that their esteem needs and self-actualization needs, as per Maslow's need hierarchy theory, these needs can be satisfied, as these needs are motivation factors as per Herzberg two-factor theory. Now, focus of the managers must be on the motivation factors to improve the work quality. And finally, the limitations of two-factor theory. Herzberg in his theory assumed a correlationship between satisfaction and productivity, but the research conducted by Herzberg stressed upon satisfaction and completely ignored productivity. In this theory, there is no comprehensive measure of satisfaction. An employee sometimes may find his job acceptable despite the fact that he may hate his part of job. Now, the two-factor theory is not free from bias, as it is based on the natural reaction of employees when they are inquired the source of satisfaction and dissatisfaction at the workplace. They can blame satisfaction on the external factors such as salary, structure, company policies, etc. Also, the employees can give credit to themselves for the satisfaction work at the workplace. So this is one of the biggest flaw of two-factor theory, because till the time the original source of satisfaction and dissatisfaction at the workplace is not known, this theory won't function properly. And finally, the theory ignores blue-collar employees. So these were the limitations of two-factor theory. So with this, we come to end of this video and theory. And in my next video, I'll discuss about the ERG theory, which is the third content theory of motivation. Thank you.